Hello and welcome back. I am excited to be talking with you today about qualitative research designs. We've been talking about quantitative research, but now we're going to switch over to the qualitative side. Okay, our textbook for this class is Creswell and Gooderman, right? But Creswell also wrote another book with Cheryl Poth, and their book was entirely on qualitative research called Qualitative Inquiry and Research Design. I really like the slides that go with that textbook. So the material is very similar. So I'm going to be using the slides for the other textbook to tell you about qualitative designs, okay? And if you find yourself wanting to know more, you know where I got these slides, okay? Qualitative Inquiry and Research Design, Choosing Among Five Approaches is the name of the text. Okay, so, all right. There are five approaches that they discuss in the text, and we're going to discuss four of them in this series of lessons. In this first video, I'll just discuss the first one, which is narrative research. And the idea is you want to match the design with your research needs. So, for example, if you want to explore the life of an individual, then you would tell stories about that individual's experience using a narrative research approach. Okay? And if you want to understand the essence of some experience or some thing, and how people interpret that thing, and you want to describe the essence of a lived phenomenon, then you would use phenomenological research. Okay? And phenomenological research actually happens to be quite common in education. If you want to develop a theory grounded in data from the field, grounded in qualitative data from the field, and you want to ground that theory in the views of participants, then you would use grounded theory research. And the last one we're going to study actually comes from anthropology. If you want to describe and interpret a culture sharing group, a group that has the same culture, and you want to describe patterns of culture within that group, okay, shared patterns, then you do ethnographic research, which comes to us from anthropology, right? There's also case study research, which we're not going to talk about, but that's also quite common in education as well. All right, so let's talk about narrative research a bit. So, you do start with a phenomenon or method. Um, they usually the narrative or story that you're going to be sharing with your readers is chronologically connected. It might go through the life course, and different authors have used this approach in different ways, whether it was a postmodern orientation or human development or using in psychology or sociology. You can even tell statistical stories using it in quantitative ways and trying to create a story out of statistics. And then finally, this qualitative approach, Eliot, is who we really think of when we think of the kind of the life story um, approach. Okay. So, narrative research. Some of the defining features is that you're collecting stories, and it could be collaborative stories, but usually you're talking to an individual person. You're telling individual experiences and identities. The stories are contextualized. They occur within specific places or situations. These are real life. You're not doing something to people and then asking them to tell you about it. You might have many different forms of data that you reference in order to have a more coherent and complete picture of what happened in the person's life. You might analyze it thematically, dialogically, structurally, or even using a visual analysis of images. And basically, you want to shape into some kind of chronology. And this may not be how it was told to you, but it's how you, as the researcher, decide to construct a chronology. And there may be turning points, there may be tensions, there may be interruptions, that kind of thing. Certain types, they could be biographical, that's quite common. Um, Autobiographical, it could be um, ethnography, but told through a story. And autoethnography, I would actually put with ethnography. I would um, look at it so much as narrative research. But life history, certainly, oral history from one or several people, and testimonies or testimonials um, are other ways, types of narrative research. The procedures, first of all, with all of these, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to determine whether the design is suitable for answering your research question or addressing the issue or exploring the problem that you want to explore. You're going to select one or more participants. You're going to consider the shape of the data collection, the recording of the data, that kind of thing. You're going to collect information about context. You may need historical information, for example. You're going to analyze the participants' stories, and this is there's a process called restoring because you're not necessarily sharing the original story as it was told, but it's gone through an analysis process. So you're restoring. You're going to collaborate with participants as you're developing what is, after all, their stories. You're going to negotiate relationships, transitions, epiphanies, that kind of thing. You're going to talk with them about it. And then you're going to present the narrative in written form. Okay. Now, there are some challenges to narrative research. It's hard to clearly understand a person's life context within their social, familial, linguistic, and institutional dimensions, particularly if you're not from the same social group, family, or language background and in the same institution. Um, and so, unless you're doing narrative research using a family member as your participant, there is you need to do some work to understand the context. In a way, you're looking for the figure under the carpet. Okay, so you're looking for what's not obvious, what may be hidden, and you need to reflect on your own personal and political background as well. Okay. One thing to consider is who owns the story. Okay, the person told it to you, but then you reshaped it. Okay, who owns the final product? And uh, a visual narrative inquiry is a promising approach. How can the images be used to help tell a story? And I wanted to share with you an example. There's a wonderful example happening here at Augusta University, and it's an oral history project that's being conducted by um, Dr. Darla Linville and um, and others. Hold on, Augusta University. Let me try to do one thing at a time. Oral history project. Yes, here we are. Yes, so Darla Linville and Molly Quinn are the ones who are working on it right now, who are here at the university who are working on it right now. Let me just show you this little clip from their website. What they did was they interviewed many people who were involved in education here in the Central Savannah River area, and you see history. Or you hear history unfolding, the history of education in this region. Um, and it's very interesting, very interesting. So, a lot of the people they interviewed were educators. Oops, that's too big. So, they have a little video here on their website, and this is I get the size good for you.
Tested by the government's National Commission on Excellence in Education.
And that's
in
the site
1983, their
where you can
report
find
comes out.
this video.
Bombshell in 1983, and it was called A Nation at Risk. That report was released by the U.S. Department of Education, and it has so many criticisms about the education system.
And that's
in the
Betty
United
Tutt,
States
who
of
was
America.
one
They
of the
said we were
people that they
mediocre, that our
interviewed.
students,
She has a
were,
really
not performing. They
interesting
were
story
underachievers.
about her
Math skills are so
experiences
poor
as a
that
teacher
half the freshman college
here
math
in
classes
Augusta.
are remedial.
And also, one of the cool
Passing through
things
the public
is,
school
I'm gonna
system
pause
no
this.
longer
One of the cool things about this website that they developed is that they included an archive. And so you get to see the transcripts and hear the interviews from all these people that they interviewed. Okay? So what you are seeing and hearing is actually their data files. Okay? Because you're hearing the interviews and you're seeing the transcripts. Now, as they write papers, research reports highlighting different things that they found in their data, then you're seeing the analysis part that happens. Okay? But on the website, you actually have a chance to explore their data files. It's wonderfully informative. Okay, and so that's all I wanted to tell you about narrative research for now. See you next time. Bye bye.